good evening, and I hope you had a wonderful Thursday as always. Now, every single month, some of our friends, especially the females, our sisters, usually go through menstruation periods. And of course, we are hungry about that information, but sometimes we have so many issues attached to it. And today we have two different young ladies who are going to tell us more about this conversation. And in studio we have Kathy Naluja and Dana Amase. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening too.
So who is Kathy and Diane?
My name is Catherine Naluja Buntese, and I work as a public project officer for Public Health Ambassadors Uganda, and this is my colleague.
I'm Diana Amase. I also work with Public Health Ambassadors Uganda. I'm a public health practitioner.
And I would like to know more about what Public Health Ambassadors Uganda are doing about in Uganda.
Well, as Public Health Ambassadors, we are a team of youth, and our project is to empower fellow youth to strive for sexual reproductive health and other approaches such as menstrual management. And as youth, we work for the public. We work to present to the people sexual reproductive health issues, sensitization, education. It's more of health promotion.
And what projects have you done, Diane?
Oh, so far we have done two major projects. We have done Tuliwamu Nawe. It was a campaign on fighting stigma amongst girls and women. And then the current one we're working on right now, it's called Ensonga, menstrual management. Yes, we move out to schools, creating awareness about menstruation and breaking the silence on menstruation.
Kathy, tell me more about this Ensonga campaign. What is it all about?
Ensonga is an issue in Uganda. We know it has the issue.
Yes.
And it's addressing menstrual matters. Why did we come up with the Ensonga campaign? It was because on a higher rate, the percentage of girls that drop out of school or miss school is because they are going through menstruation and they can't discuss it with anyone. The girls are having their periods in school and then they can't tell anyone that they lack menstrual management products to go to school, so they keep dropping out. Some girls, after they menstruate, are forced to get married because they are considered as adults. So it creates a big problem if most of the girls in a population where most of like 24% of the females are girls, like the girls, young girls. That's about 18 to 24 and 15, 24, sorry. And then that means if they are dropping out of school, that means we are going to have in future, we are likely to have a higher number of girls having a less education because they have not been attending school. Then again, in societies, when you're talking about menstruation, they do not see it as something that is to be discussed about. In some societies, it is a taboo. You can't openly go and tell someone that, you know what, I'm having my periods and this is the problem. No one wants to hear that. It's more of a discreet thing. So even if the girls have a problem about the menstruation cycle, such as the cramps, they won't talk to anyone because they can't open to anyone in public.
Maybe we should first and foremost know what is menstruation. You see, in the earlier days, we were having an issue with talking about HIV/AIDS. And not until we really talked about what HIV/AIDS was, so that people get to know what actually HIV/AIDS is, that's when they started understanding and appreciating talking about this subject. So I want to understand, what is menstruation?
Now, menstruation is the monthly flow of blood from a woman. It happens monthly, and it's a sign that shows changing from childhood to adolescenthood to adulthood, and most girls will experience it from the age of about 9 or 8 till around 45 to 50. So every girl is different. Some girls begin as early as 8. Now that creates a very big problem for them if they're in a community where other girls are beginning at 15, because most people won't understand what they're going through. And then as time goes on, they totally don't want to talk about it and open about it. So every other time menstruation happens, it's one of those things that you hear a woman saying, oh, I'm having my period. Or you hear a woman saying, you know what, every month I bleed. That's what menstruation basically is in a layman's language.
Layman's language.
Yeah.
Now, Diane, especially I'm interested in knowing that you are young girls, you're a young team of young people who are going to communities talking about this Ensonga. Where do you get this motivation from?
As public health practitioners, when you're still at school, we had this drive to reach out to people, most especially the youth, because they're the biggest population, as Catherine said. And they're the ones who go through a lot of problems which are not even mentioned, which are not easily spoken out. So as youth, we said let's go to our fellow youth and we try to create awareness on them. And in one of the matters we did was menstruation. And
but some people will say that possibly because of unemployment rate, you are trying to use these to possibly get an income. Wrong? Right.
Actually, that will also come, but it was not the primary thing. We have the heart to serve the people.
Passion.
Yes.
Now, as you go with this campaign to the communities, what is the feedback from the communities, from the youngsters, especially the males? What's the feedback that you usually get?
The feedback we have gotten from the males and from the teachers, the districts where we work, because right now Ensonga is working in Wachiso district, and we're working with 6 schools in Wachiso, but very rural schools around Wachiso district. People are really happy that we have gone there, and we are trying. The overall goal of the Ensonga was to break the silence on menstruation, and most people have very many misconceptions and myths about menstruation. So when we go out there to the schools, we teach the girls, we tell them this is a myth, this is the fact, and we tell them how to manage everything on menstruation. That's
what are the myths that you usually hear in the communities?
Oh, there is a girl who told us, they told her, if you see your own pad with blood, you'll never get pregnant. And that is a myth. So we needed to correct that. If you take Panadol, it will burn your magi, your eggs.
Yes.
And it was really disturbing. And to convince them that, no, if you take a painkiller when you're in your periods because of the cramps, it's okay. Yeah? We just want to correct that. And also...
Now, there is this, I don't know whether it's a misconception or not.
Yeah.
I grew up with young girls at home, and whenever they were moody, they were angry, they were frustrated, we usually say to ourselves that, that is the time of the month. Is it right or wrong?
Of course, when we're in our periods, we have what they call mood swings. Yeah, sometimes people can be so angry with each other, sometimes they be happy, they don't want to know. Yeah, it's not, but it doesn't apply to everyone. There are people who are so jolly during that time. And then there's this one who is very moody, do not talk to me. Yeah, and that
now,
is...
Now, Kathy, as you go to these communities, what challenges do you go through as a young organization, really talking about this very, very sensitive topic among our people?
It's a sensitive topic, that's right. And sometimes it's until you discuss with the parents and the teachers that they start to understand why it's important. So after they see the value, most cases we let even parents, if they want to patch in and come and see what we're doing, or teachers, they stay around and see what we're doing. By the end of the sessions, they're impressed. They often even ask us to go back, and they're like, you know what? No one has done this, and we really think it's important. Really think it's very useful for our children. When are you coming back? How are we doing this so that we make sure we have a one-on-one where we can make sure that you come back besides the campaign, and you teach our girls every other time so that we can make you part of the arrangement. Then some time back, when we were at the KCCA festival, there was a father of 4 girls. So when we introduced to him the reusable pads, he's like, wow, I've never in my whole life. I didn't even know these things existed. So how do I get them? Where do I find them? Because I have like 4 girls, so that means it's going to give me a hard time if I'm buying for every one of them. So with that kind of thing, and then because when you're talking about menstrual management, it's more than one method that people can use. So if someone is able to learn about the other methods and they choose a method that's to their comfort and to their ease, they easily appreciate and they open their minds more. Sometimes it's just we are kept in that box where we, like, if they tell you that is bad, you know it's bad, but you don't know why it's bad. So like for us as the Ensonga campaign, we are trying to teach girls to embrace who they are. You are you. It's not going to change. Menstruation is happening because it's preparing you for the reproductive age when you'll have a baby. It doesn't mean that you're ready to have a baby now when you're 15 or 9, but it means your body has started preparing you that when the time comes for you to have a baby, it's ready. It just because they said it's bad, why is it bad? Because some people are just in that part of it's bad, but they don't know. So after we teach them, they appreciate actually what we do. Yeah. So I think it stops being a challenge. Yeah.
Now, I listen to what you guys are saying, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. But don't you think this is a job for our parents? Are you agreeing with me that possibly our parents, our communities have negated their responsibilities?
If you've been through something and it has been an experience for you, you would want someone to probably have a better situation. Not every girl is privileged to have their parents around. When you go to girls in communities, they will tell you that, you know what, actually we've even met some girls. It's not that they're broke, no. So because some people look at menstrual management as that's something for the broke people who don't have enough money. But this cuts across all our ages and across all our economic backgrounds. What happens? Because when we interacted with this girl, she confides and is like, you know what? The truth is, I did not know what menstruation was because mommy was always flying out. So actually the time that it happened, she bled while she was somewhere in town. That's when it started. And then she's calling her father, and she even went to the hospital. She's calling her father and telling him, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. And she's calling him in that meantime. So we have this approach that we believe if we are able to talk to our fellow young peers, if they haven't had the opportunity, that would make them embrace and know what's coming ahead. If they've had the opportunity, the way I approach someone of my age is not the way I'll approach my parent.
That's true.
Because I have this other feeling of, oh, wait, if I ask her this question, now she will think I'm thinking this. For example, if a girl is like, you know what, I'm menstruating, does that mean I'm pregnant or I'm having a baby? Some parents go on the hierarchy of thinking, you know what, she's thinking about having sex, which is a very different thing. So the child will get afraid of asking, questions that will make them feel more comfortable than if I came someone who's close to their age and I'm talking to them.
And thank you very much. And when we come back from that break, we shall continue the conversation. I thank you for staying tuned to Urban TV. And of course, my name is Edmond Safari. Now, we're in a conversation with these young chaps about menstruation. And it's an amazing aspect because it's a taboo in almost all our African societies. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And when I was growing up, I remember I met my young sister, and she was, I think it was her first, maybe two times during her menstruation. She was going to throw her pads, and she indeed cried when she met me, because it was a joke for me. For her, she did cry. And when you were coming up with this campaign, I realized that possibly the boys should also be part of it. Do you really encourage the boys to be part of this campaign?
Well, we actually involve the boys. That's maybe something we didn't mention. When we're in a community, we are not approaching just the females. It's more of a community gathering to explain what menstruation is and what it is about. Then what happens, because now there comes a time when it becomes gender sensitive a bit. We separate the boys from the girls, most especially if we go to schools, males from females. And what do we do when we are talking to the males? It's to teach them, we actually also teach them how to help a sister, a friend, or someone who may not know how to manage their menstruation for the first time, most cases. So what happens is that when we teach them, one of the things we encourage them is, you know what, this is something that is normal, and it happens. And even the woman you'll marry, or the girl you're about to have as a girlfriend in the future, goes through this. So if you're laughing now, you're tormenting someone's sister, someone's mother, and they come to appreciate the knowledge that comes from it, because they start to realize that it's more of something normal. Because some boys have not had an opportunity. They just hear. There are those even who just hear. They've never even seen a sister. So when you teach them that, you know what, support your sister, support your neighbor in class. If something happens, if her skirt is marked, don't laugh. Just go ahead and tell her, you know what, can I help you with a sweater? This has happened. They actually come to appreciate it in the sense that they didn't know at some point, and then they take it on. And they also, among those, we find those who can ably teach their fellow gentlemen how to help a girl through showing her how to wear a disposable, let's say. Yeah.
Now, I was asking you about this thing being a taboo in especially our African societies. Diane, what are we doing about to let the communities know that actually this is part of the process? We should notify the communities and be a part of the change agent to talk about these kind of issues. What are you doing about that?
As public health ambassadors Uganda, we have raised the banner. We have come out to break the silence, as I said earlier. We have come out. There are other organizations which are doing it, but we have also added our efforts on top of their efforts to try to break that taboo thing. Like to tell people like it's not a shameful thing to talk about. It's a normal thing. Let's join hands together, and like as people came up to fight HIV, let's also come out and support the girls, support the ladies. They're the mothers of tomorrow.
And the feedback from the communities?
Actually, they're very happy. At first, when you go there and you say, okay, we've come to talk about Ensonga, about menstruation, they'll be like, more get at you. But afterwards, they come in and they'll be like, oh, yeah, actually, you guys are talking. They call you aside and they'll be like, how did you come up with this? I mean, this is very good. Because there are some parents who cannot talk to their parents, to their daughters or their children about this. So, like, when we come out and we'll be like, okay, let's talk. Let's be the first people to pass on the information.
I know you're going to schools where you meet boys and girls.
Yes.
And you're really combating this stigma amongst the boys, especially. How are you doing that for communities?
For the communities, how we are doing that to the communities? As public health ambassadors, Uganda, we have a method we use. It's called edutainment. We call it edutainment. We use music to bring in everyone, because you know, like, people love music a lot. So we stage like a flash mob, and then when people come around, then we pass on the information. Because when you come around there during that flash mob, you can't run away just after the music. So you'll be forced to listen and get to hear about it. So
let's talk about this menstrual hygiene management.
Yeah.
What are the gaps in there?
In our community or in our country, most of the girls, if they're knowing about menstruation, it's more of, I learned it from my senior woman, okay? Or I learned it after it happened, you know? Not that I didn't know any method. There is also, I didn't know any other method. So now the gaps come in from the parents not teaching their girls. Now the girls go to school. A senior woman teaches, yes. But in our approach, the management products, we try to do research and find out how other countries are helping their girls. For example, if you go to some communities, a disposable is very expensive compared to a reusable. Because a reusable will be bought once in a year, a disposable is bought every other time you're having your menstruation. So what happens is that we have the gaps that we have are that they are taught one probably menstrual management method. So when we go to communities and we are teaching them these other menstrual management products, they are going like, how come I've never known all this time? Even when they're adults, they're like, you know what, you guys, I've never known about this. All my life I've hustled with this kind of method, and yet there are so many other methods. Then the other gaps we have are support. As right now we're still starting up, but still when you are trying to explain to some communities or some people what happens or why the project is that important, they take a while to see the importance. So it creates a hard time trying to bridge the gap between you and the community. Yeah.
So what are you doing to bridge this gap?
Okay, the other gap maybe I want to add on, Catherine, is the gap of the financial status of people. People cannot manage to buy the pads like every month. There are parents who cannot buy that because of our economic status. That is also one of the gap. And also like the information she said about it too. Yeah, people know less about it.
So what are you doing to bridge this gap?
To bridge the gap of the
menstrual hygiene.
The menstrual hygiene. The gap of information. We have gone out there, we have given ourselves there to go and teach people, create awareness, like to give them the rightful information they need to know. The gap of economic status, we have tried to work with some of our partners to donate for us some pads, and then we take them to those schools. But the schools we have reached out to, there are very few schools. There are like only 6, and in Uganda there are over, I don't know, very many schools. So it's just like a drop in an ocean. We are trying to, we are starting small. And the other gap maybe of, what did you say?
I'm waiting.
Okay.
Oh, Catherine said some of the gap of the parents and what. Yeah. We also like have gone out there. When you go to schools, sometimes we call the parents also to come around with the teachers, and then we train them. We give them the information so that they go out to their children, and then they teach the children. Yeah. To make them like to talk to their kids, really.
So what next after from here, Kathy? That now you're bridging the gap in accessing this quality menstrual hygiene management. What happens next?
What next? Yeah. So far, we were successful with a company that helped us with that, but it was a small sum of a donation. We would like fundraisers. So on our projects, we always look forward to getting people who want to give back to community, probably corporate social responsibility, that they say, you know what, this is the amount I'm donating for you to buy for this number of girls. Then we are in schools, when we go to teach them, we leave a public health club.
Wow.
What does the public health club do? It's going to help us, give us feedback of what's happening in school and what more is needed apart from the menstrual management. What else do the girls want to know? So on the times we visit the schools, we help form the public health clubs. So when we form the public health clubs, they will give us feedback.
And sustainability.
Yeah. So we always go back to them, get feedback from them, and know, okay, this is what happens, this is what we needed, and this is how many girls may need it more.
In a second, your closing remarks.
Okay, also what next? We are planning as Public Health Ambassadors Uganda to raise more funding on the Ensonga campaign. We are organizing a dinner, a fundraising dinner, where we are inviting like all corporate companies to come and work with us to help fight this. And we also, in the corporate dinner, we also have an event before that. It's going to be a car wash, but that will be next year.
All right.
Yes.
And thank you very much. I know time is never our best ally, but this is what the conversation is all about. Now, these young people are going out there with this Ensonga campaign because these are our sisters. We need each other, and this Ensonga campaign will take our children further because we actually need to understand their problems so that we can grow together. That has been our major highlight today. And until we meet next week, your coach, Edmond Safari.